soldier of Christ reporting for duty. How's it going, everyone? I hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. So let's jump right in. So today, what I talked about is whether Jesus is the dream crusher. And what I mean by that is not necessarily that Jesus will want you to sort of stop from pursuing your dreams and fulfilling them, but sort of in the sense that when you start to follow Jesus, that he will want your mind and your body to become anew. So it's sort of like when you become born again. When you become born again, you can't go back to doing all the things that you wanted to do. I remember when I was young, and sort of like I wanted to go kind of like in the career of being a chemist. And now the reason for that is not because necessarily I was interested in becoming a chemist, but like I was only like 12 years old, so I thought it would be cool to become a chemist because I would be able to like make cool experiments and I would be able to like blow things up and stuff such as that. But what I realized is, I want to say I started to realize in 8th and 9th grade that, chemistry isn't necessarily all about making cool experiments and blowing things up, but it's more so like a lot of like mathematics is involved, a lot of like measurements you have to do, and a lot of understanding of all like the different elements on the periodic table, and you have to understand like all of that in theory to be able to make these cool experiments and to make explosions. And it took me a while to realize that when I was 12 years old, and it took me like 2 whole years to be able to understand that. And when I didn't understand that, it's like, oh, I have no interest in this because I've never been a math guy. I've always been more of like part of, I guess, on a creative person and more of someone that actually is more like sort of like original. I've never really been like an analytical person, at least as far as that. So when you have that in mind, it's again sort of like how Jesus will crush your dreams. And what I mean by that is a lot of our dreams or a lot of things that we've thought about before we came to Jesus wasn't necessarily things that were good. And the thing is sort of like Jesus needs to crush our dreams in order to make us born again, because a lot of the dreams we have aren't necessarily something that we should do, or something that aren't very biblical, because a lot of our dreams it's sort of like we're focused on ourselves. We're focused on being the greatest. And it's sort of like, from an early age, academically, through sports, through all sorts of things, we're always taught like, you're in competition with everyone else around the world. I remember in 8th grade, I was, one of my teachers were saying, oh, these people aren't your friends, Darius. All these people around you, all your classmates, they're just, they're actually competing with you, to get like certain like scholarships, to get certain career positions, and to overall like to sort of like get above you in life. And, like that really like hurt me, because like I was only like 13, 14 at the time, and when I was told that was kind of strange, because like, I felt like I could call these people my friends, and my teacher essentially just said like, no, Darius, they're not your friends, they're just sort of like using you to get ahead and to be able to like sort of like, manipulate you into thinking that, which of course is by no means true, because it seems that, like, I guess adults specifically, it's sort of like everyone they just want to get ahead of everyone else. Everyone wants to be the best. And there's nothing wrong with being like a competitive person and wanting to be the best, but people are sort of just like want to tear people down nowadays, and people just want to, again, be the best. And it kind of like goes along the lines of when everyone wants to be the best, it's really just for like selfish reasons, because like when you are the best, there's really no point to it. One of my favorite books in the Bible is Galatians, because Galatians speaks a lot about how Solomon, who essentially had everything, sort of thought it was like, it was kind of just like worthless and useless. And when we're taught from a young age that everyone is in competition with us, and that we need to be competing in the rat race, and we need to be competing to be the best and to be better than everyone else, we sort of forfeit something that we were taught as far as like in the Bible. We were taught in the Bible, to think of like other people as better than us. And that's more, of course, in the case of, to be humble and to understand that, we aren't the best. And this world has, at least here in the like sort of like the Western side of the world, it's really, powerful and really like, cool and popular to be the best and to want to be the best, because, everyone will look up to you. You'll be the hero of every little child, and you'll be a superhero to everyone. But the issue is, it's all self-centered. When we have these dreams that are of the world and dreams of not like fulfilling what God wants us to do, all of it comes to sort of like self-centeredness and something that will not even fulfill us and to be content with. Well, let me give like a very basic example. But it seems that, like, let's say, someone's homeless. They have absolutely nothing, but they somehow found a lottery ticket on the ground that had maybe something like a $10,000 win on it. Okay, so they cashed in the $10,000, and they actually found a house that was worth $10,000, and they went and they spent the $10,000 on that house, and they now have it. So let's say that somehow they were able to sustain that house, and they were able to find the means to support themselves as well. Through that, once they bought the house, they were like so excited, they were so happy about being able to have it and to overall just be content with what they have. But that went on for a few months or so, and they started to hate their house, and they started to dislike it. But then they're like, what if I bought a $50,000 house? That would be able to fulfill all my desires. I will have more space. It'll have more functions than this small $10,000 house I have. So of course they save up for the $50,000 house. They buy the $50,000 house. Everything's great at first. It's amazing. Everything is great, going good. And then it happens again. A few months later, they have no contentment with the house, and they wish for a $100,000 house. They buy the $100,000 house, and it just keeps going on and on and on and on. And it's sort of like just this effect where when we look for things of the world, we'll never be happy. And the same thing happens in marriage, because a lot of marriages, there's a huge divorce rate here in the United States, at least. And a lot of it's mostly because a lot of it is financial issues, but a lot of it is also because some of the spouses, they claim to be bored of each other. And it's because it's sort of like this novelty effect, this new effect that plagues so much of our mind, because through social media, through like TikTok, we're sort of programmed to want instant gratification. And when that instant gratification fades, we kind of just like throw it out like a child will throw away its like old toys that it no longer likes or it no longer wants anymore. And when we realize that a lot of the things that we dream about, if we were to succeed in some of these worldly dreams that we have, we won't find any fulfillment in it. We'll just, be looking for the next high and looking for how we are able to sort of like benefit from the next high, and not necessarily being able to always be fulfilled from the dream. So when we understand that, and that we focus our time and attention on Jesus, times will actually most likely get harder for us, but we will know that we're on the right path and we're doing something fulfilling, because so many people want to leave a mark or an imprint on this world, and so many people want to be famous and to be sort of like a historical character, but that's never going to happen, because that's never going to happen unless you become like a president or you become a famous terrorist or something. So in 100, 200 years from now, a lot of things that, we think that we'll be remembered for, we might be written in history books, but it wouldn't really matter, because at the end of the day, if our names aren't written in the book of life, nothing we did would matter anyway. So if we continue to strive to sort of go to work for Jesus and to follow God with all we can through prayer, reading the Bible, through fasting, and through following Him the best that we can, we'll understand how much more fulfilling He is, and how much we really just need to be born again, and how these things that we think about really just don't matter. And that's all I have. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to have to do a lot of editing because I rambled on a little bit too much, but thank you so much again for watching, and hope to be getting out some new videos soon. Hopefully I don't slack off, but I always like to do them outside, even though the weather a lot of times is not in the best condition. So please pray for at least decent weather, that it won't rain. I'm okay with snow though. So that's all I have once again. So until next time, soldier of Christ.